welcome to West 57. I'm John Ferrugia. Walking into some Los Angeles neighborhoods these days is like walking into a police state. So far this week, at least 4 people have died in gang-related violence. Nearly 100 times that many have died in the past year. And more than half the victims were innocent bystanders. Gangs have existed in Los Angeles for generations and have traditionally fought and died to exert their control over city neighborhoods. But today, their bloody war is for control of a multi-million-dollar market, the cocaine market. 1/3 of this country's illicit cocaine flows through Southern California. Selling it has enabled the gangs to become richer, better armed, and better organized. Thanks to cocaine, LA's so-called homeboys have become entrepreneurs extraordinaire. And despite an all-out effort to stop them, business is booming.
Okay! That's not necessary, man.
Run to the car. Where are you guys on your way to?
That's him. Except for he doesn't have his hat with him.
Did you know Twin?
Twin, yeah.
The one that got shot right back there? You know him?
Police estimate that there are now as many as 600 street gangs in Los Angeles County and 70,000 gang members. Most loosely identify themselves with the Crips, who wear blue, or the Bloods, who wear red.
We take them to jail for anything and everything we can. It more or less prevents that particular guy from getting into anything, and it kind of keeps the other guys off the street for a while, but never would I say keeps a lid on it.
How many homeboys have been killed in the last year or so from T-Flats?
Less than a year, like 5.
Is that right? What's the youngest person to get killed from your neighborhood?
Munchie, Little Bird.
Munchie?
Yeah.
You get killed up on Shower?
Yeah, he was only 14.
Where were you when you got shot?
I can't breathe.
Where were you when you got shot?
He was in the garage. Okay, here they are. They're going to be taken in an ambulance.
This gang member and 2 buddies were smoking crack cocaine in a garage when a rival gang drove up and shot them. 20 minutes after these pictures were taken, Lorenzo Crosby was dead.
Gang banging nowadays is way dangerous. Killing and shooting, and mothers getting took out, and brothers and sisters get killed, ride by shooting, innocent bystanders get killed.
Charles Grimes, whose street name is Rock, joined a gang when he was 12 years old. Now, at age 20, he's in jail. Have you ever been the shooter in a drive-by shooting?
Yeah, I have.
People get hurt?
I don't know. You don't stand to watch to find out. Just keep going, you know. It don't. Some people it bother. Some people it don't. I've been about 4 or 5 times.
Why would you be involved in a drive-by shooting? What would cause you to want to drive by and fire at somebody?
Well, say for instance, one of my homeboys get killed, one of them gets shot up. Just retaliation.
Is it easy to pull the trigger on somebody?
Yeah, it's easy to just shoot and ride by, you know what I'm saying? Because, I mean, it's not really nothing to think about. You get all loaded and high, you just, I don't think I would ever do it in my right mind. I have to get real, I have to drink some beer and smoke some weed and stuff. I have to be intoxicated in order to go do something like that. Because if I'm in my right mind, I'll be called a party pooper or, you know what I'm saying?
Every day, 365 days in a year, when I step out the door, you see what I'm saying? And every time a car come by, I'm looking. Every time, it never fails. Every car looked at millions and millions of cars. We might have looked at more cars than anybody in this world. Because afraid of a motherfucker riding up and shooting us. You have to feel that way. If you don't live long around here. It's like we preparing ourselves to like die.
Harvey is a Crip gang leader from Compton, California.
And there go my brother right there.
Police now consider black gangs the most powerful and the most dangerous. Most teenagers still join gangs for social status or protection. They are known not just by their colors, but by intricate graffiti and hand signs which they use to identify their gang set.
El Capone was a Crip. El Capone was my father.
Al Capone was a Crip.
We all is living a life that's like chosen in a way, but it's like forced on us also. You understand me?
As the tattoos on his arm document, these so-called homeboys are willing to die for their gang.
Like the Bloods, them the rival gang. They choose to use the right to come over here and murder us in our own neighborhood.
The killing today is not over who will control the neighborhood turf, but who will control the neighborhood cocaine. There are more casualties because the stakes are much higher.
It's incredible the amount of money that's out there. A lot of these guys out there on the street that are selling, raw cocaine or crack, these guys are supporting their families. Some of these guys make more money than their parents make.
Eddie Allen is with Operation Safe Streets, a special unit of the Sheriff's Department that patrols gang neighborhoods in Los Angeles County.
There they go. Hey, Ron, you watch the car. I'm going to go around the other side. You the guy who ran the other night? No, it wasn't you.
A lot of people on the street carrying beepers. You see a lot of people carrying beepers.
My brother's a doctor.
Your brother's a doctor, huh? Yeah, okay. Doctor what? Crack doctor?
Kids as young as 12 years old carry beepers. They're connected to drug dealers with mobile phones who call them to make deliveries of crack cocaine. The dealers know that even if these kids are busted, they won't get any jail time because they're minors.
Today, there's not a black gang in the city or the county that's not involved in narcotics. So, it's hand in hand. When the narcotics dealers set up, they just can't come into the area and start selling narcotics because the gang members won't allow it. They have to cut them in. And by having gang members there, that gives the narcotic dealer an organization that's already set up to do business. You know why you're doing this? No?
I know why, but I wish not to even talk about it.
What began as a disorganized crime network has quickly mushroomed into one of the most successful businesses in America. Last year alone, the Los Angeles Police Department confiscated more than 13,000 pounds of cocaine, with a street value estimated at more than $1.8 billion. And that's only a fraction of what's on the street.
There are people that are fronting huge amounts of money. I'm talking about millions of dollars.
Lieutenant Bob Rukoff is head of criminal intelligence with the Los Angeles Police Department's CRASH program, a program to suppress gang activity in the city.
I'm talking about a lot of people that are running around out there with sophisticated weapons that are providing security and protection for the money and the narcotics that's out there on the street. I'm talking about exporting this trafficking not just throughout LA County or even Southern California, but all over the western half of the country. I'm talking about laundering money, investing it in a legitimate business to cover up the fact that it's been obtained illicitly, and moving tons of cocaine. And if that's not organized crime, then I'm not a cop.
Organized or not, like any other growing business, the gangs are now searching for new markets.
I heard a lot about Seattle, so I thought I'd take a trip out there and see how it was. LA is too much competition, You got drug wars, you got gang wars, you got robberies, you got murders, you got all type of things happening. So you want to get away from all that and try to go way out somewhere where you might not see so many LA people.
So Rock moved into this Seattle neighborhood, right behind a popular night spot that has since been busted with 5 kilos of cocaine.
I've seen that you can make easily money up there quicker than LA, without less of a problem.
People come up from California gangs, usually Bloods and Crips. And what happens is they will come in and they will find out who the local narcotics dealers are, who's selling rock in any given area. And when they do that, they'll muscle their way in. They'll just come in and they'll tell them, you're going to sell our dope, or you're not going to sell any.
Detective Tim Perry is with the Seattle Police Department's Narcotics Division.
There's been several instances where they've shot the places up to reinforce what they're saying, to get the other people in line, and then they will supply these places with their cocaine, their rock cocaine. And then the graffiti started showing up on the schools, the bus stops, the buses, public buildings, fences, and so on. And that's when we started contacting LA to see what the problem was that they were having, and because we were now experiencing the same thing.
In the past year, Seattle police have had contact with over 350 Los Angeles gang members. More than half of them have been arrested and charged with crimes ranging from peddling dope to drive-by shootings like this one to 7 gang-related murders.
The name of the game was get your own business in the cocaine and the rock, crack, and have someone working for you.
And that's what you were after in Seattle?
Yeah, that's the goal. But my goal was not completed.
Rock's business didn't get off the ground because he was implicated in the drug-related killing of one of his own homeboys. Next week, he goes on trial for second-degree murder.
In the dope game, you can move up. You can get real high, but you're going to come down. And when you come down, just like jumping out of the airplane. How you go up in that airplane, and when you come down, you're going to come down hard. Then you're going to regret it, but then it's going to be too late.
With the heat on in Seattle, some dealers like Rock who weren't in jail decided to move east to smaller but lucrative markets like Kansas City, a place where LA gangs were unheard of.
Police! Search warrant! Get on the ground!
This crack house, supplied by LA gang members, was shut down by a joint federal-state task force. But Kansas City police say the gangs are supplying an increasing number of over 100 houses now operating in the area.
Let's get out of here.
Ron Russell is a detective assigned to Kansas City's special gang unit.
Normally in this city, we never had a problem with kilos of cocaine. Basically, we'd have a problem with, maybe guys selling an ounce or something to that effect. But since we started doing this investigation and we run into these so-called LA boys, we noticed we're starting to find kilo after kilo, and we're starting to recover kilos of cocaine.
Example.
All my rights have been violated. They threatened to shoot me in the head.
Police arrested this man in a taxi near the train station just last week.
Take everything he's got. Everything. Everything?
Currently believe that this individual we stopped is a wanted fugitive out of Los Angeles, who also may be carrying a large amount of controlled substance in the 2 bags.
All right.
That large amount of controlled substance turned out to be the biggest drug bust in Kansas City history. 10 kilos of cocaine worth over $1 million on the street.
Look at that crack.
What's more, the man arrested carrying the coke was an LA gang member.
It's beginning to be a real problem when you got, 19, 20-year-old guys walking around with, I'd say, $17,000, $18,000 on them. When you get those guys that young with that much money, they don't have any desire to work, and all they're going to do is sell dope. And they're going to continue to sell dope. What's really hurt us is that they're starting to deal at the schools. They're starting to sell at the schools. It's not unusual at all to stop a 12 or 13-year-old kid, 14-year-old kid with $1,000 on him.
That kind of money and what it buys has made places like Southeast High School a target for recruiting.
My brother hang around the Crips, and he supposed to be a Kansas City Crip, and they trying to get Kansas City boys to join that group.
I'm a Crip. Some of the ones that got here I grew up with. That's what it really is right there. It's not a lot of LA people that left LA that came here. It's a lot of people that left here that went to visit LA and liked it and got into it and came back.
Since the so-called LA boys hit town, beepers are now the status symbol among many Kansas City kids.
The reason why I want the beepers because I seen everybody else, wearing a beeper, and I was like, oh wow, those are neat. And I hear a little beeper go off, and then somebody said, well, those beepers, some of them are for cocaine dealers. I said, well,
Not only is cocaine making inroads into schools and wasting individual lives, but it's also destroying families.
And all of a sudden, this guy from L.A. came, and my 16-year-old, she got hooked up with him, and it found out that he was a drug dealer.
Of all the stories one hears when talking about the gangs, Helen Stevenson's may be one of the saddest.
He's from L.A. What I think he did is used her, because for a while she was just holding his money. And all of a sudden, she started selling drugs.
Her 16-year-old daughter and 18-year-old son became friendly with members of an L.A. drug gang. Before she knew what hit her, they had opened up a crack house in her East Kansas City home. It started when she was away at work during her 4 to midnight shift, but eventually it turned into a round-the-clock operation.
It got to the point where I was scared to answer the door. If I didn't answer the door, they'd probably think it was drugs in there and they'd break in and get the drugs. And if I did answer the door, there's a chance that I could get hurt by answering the door and tell them I didn't have it.
What if you didn't go along? What if you tried to kick them out of your house? What would happen?
I've already done that. I got threats. That's why my family is broke up.
So they've literally driven you out of your house?
Yes, they drove me out of my house.
Do you have any idea how much they were selling out of your house?
A lot. I think they're still doing drugs out of it every now and then. People that are doing drugs are using it as a place to sleep. The neighborhood is going down. 3 or 4 drug houses in the neighborhood. They just move them all around.
What's happened to your daughter? Where is she now?
I turned my daughter into the juvenile court so that they can put her in a rehabilitation center. And the way it's going, she's going to be let out next week without any treatment.
And what do you think might happen?
I think she might get hooked back up with him again.
What's going to happen to your son?
I think along the line, my son, if he doesn't stop, that he's going to end up getting killed or kill somebody and end up in prison.
One of my partners got killed last night, you know. They said it was drug related, but I think it was this girl, man, you know. It was down on 30-something, you know, in front of his apartments, man, and somebody came by and just shot him up with a Uzi, man.
They shot him with a Uzi?
Yep. Hey, he ain't had nothing, just gone.
People get hurt because they might owe money for cocaine, or either they were dealing it and they didn't pay them all of it.
You can be walking down the street by yourself and you'll get shot, you know, anything nowadays. They don't care. That's just the way life is.
I lost my kids. I moved out of the house. Just about lost everything that I had behind it.
We live on 12611 Bullis Road.
Tonight in Los Angeles, like every other Saturday night, there are some 200 cops working the streets, patrolling the neighborhoods, trying somehow to keep the gangs under control.
We'll be back with more of West 57 after this.